Okay, we're here with another TROM-Cast, a different TROM-Cast, a do something TROM-Cast, without the leader to inspire us all.
Yeah, unfortunately, Tio is a bit sick these days and wasn't able to come today. But we decided to go on anyway because we skipped three or four in a row. So
And this is the do something.
And this one is about do something, so quite ironic.
So we're gonna do something.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so I guess the TROM-Cast is about doing something, and we might all mention different things that we have been doing since we've been volunteering for TROM and so on. I can start off by saying that I'm currently doing and focusing on making audiobooks out of maybe all of the books, step by step. There are already 10 or so on there. And I just finished one about eating the world and ourselves. And I'm specifically making them as audiobooks instead of as video books, and then using that audio that I recorded there as an audiobook. So they might sound a bit better than the previous ones. And yeah, I'm also going to do the origin of most problems and demon stuff like that. They, of course, a little longer, so that might take some time. And there's a bit of dialogue in there as well. Just be done in a way where it stays with the content and message of the book. Yeah, and besides
do you have an idea?
Sorry?
I was going to ask, do you have an idea how you will manage the dialogue in
the
audiobook?
Either I'll use different voices, so maybe you guys, one of you guys could, be one of the different voices and stuff like that, or I might say it in a certain way where it sounds like a dialogue is happening or something like that. But I need to look into it a little more. I'm not at that book yet. So
yeah.
So you want to keep focusing on other books and then
exactly. Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, great work. And Seb has the perfect voice.
I don't know.
Like the voice for books and whatever.
I just both puffers, because sometimes like when I speak or you use the P or the T or something like that, then there's a big sound that happens. So I need to try to get rid of that. And after a while, you get obviously very dry in your throat, and it takes time to recover.
You actually need pop filter.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah, pop filter. I think that's what I got. Yeah.
Like the one you see the people have in studios when they sing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I got
so
one.
It reduces this airflow when you pronounce P or T.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
But I mean, honestly, your voice and recordings are just great. I'm a big fan of
yours too, man. Yours too.
Narrate me to sleep.
It's good we're all fans of each other,
Trust me, you get sick of it after a while. Like after I'm recording it. Shit.
I know, yeah. Focus the poem.
And maybe, Sophie, you want to talk about what you're doing too, since you guys are in the same picture?
Yeah, get them in the same frame.
Sure.
You're doing some icons and stuff, right?
Yeah, right now I'm not doing those because I need to figure out how to. I don't know. Apple iPad is sometimes it's really great for drawing directly on there, like with an electric pen. So it feels really great to draw on it and stuff like that, but it can't export in vectors.
Yeah.
And especially not if you don't pay for it. So so it's a bit of a what's it called? Of a challenge there.
Yeah.
So I need to figure that out before I make more icons, because otherwise I risk just double working all of them.
Yeah. Yep. That's unfortunate.
So how to do the vectors, yeah.
Sorry, real quick, I just wanted to mention, did we throw the link into the live? The Jitsu link into the live?
I put it there, but it's not. It's a little bit broken, but I mean, people can access if they want.
Okay. Because there was someone else that wanted to join. Let me just send them the link.
Oh yeah.
Trom space do it.
Do it.
Okay. What about you, Sash?
Let me just send this link to this person. You guys go on first. Dima, you gotta talk about your stuff.
Oh no. Yeah, what I did for Tron, translated about I think 12 books into the Russian. Now they're all gone because there's no more Russian website. No, the books are somewhere on the server. They're not lost, but it's not accessible now right now. And then I made a couple of videos for Tron, like filmed few. Wrote 2 books, one about over tourism, and second one is the last book released by Trom. It's about for-profit entertainment. And yeah, I think that's about it. And yeah, I'm planning to do maybe more of the books in future. And yeah, and and the one thing I'm planning to do is to come in January I'll start it. I hope it's right. Yes. And yeah, with Theo, we got this idea to work on a documentary. I think you already know about the situation with all these empty buildings, and it's really stupid situation when the town is full of empty buildings, but they don't rent it to anyone. So the plan is
because
for
it's
me
a tourist town.
Under tourism.
Yeah. So the plan is for me to come in January to film there, to make some interviews, and then to come in like high season, I think in August or maybe in July, and film the same. Like, what is the difference? And then yeah, the movie will be ready. So that's the plan. Like my next project for Trump, I think.
That's really interesting. Yeah. It's such a big difference between the high season and winter, for example. And you feel now already, or you can see that less and less people are here. And it's getting more and more empty.
It's like a ghost town, but they still don't want to rent places, right? Because no, we don't want you to live here too long.
And it's just such a massive waste of resources, and it happens all over the world, you know. It's just ridiculous, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, exactly. So like an example of one small town, of course, we can exaggerate this and show that it's not only one town like that, it's happening all around the world. And as far as I know, in China, it's very huge when they just building, you know, cities and a lot of houses, and nobody lives there. It's like ghost towns. They just build it to make money. That's it.
Jesus.
Completely. It would be really interesting to be able to somehow find out how many places are empty, because there are different statistics on all this. And in China, they say that, okay, there are 70 million empty apartments. But this, of course, doesn't count like all the hotels and all the vacant homes like here that are used as tourist Airbnbs and stuff like that, and all the office space and shit like that. And it's just such a weird thing when you think of homelessness and all these empty places. Yeah.
Vacation home.
Exactly.
Probably in the hundreds of millions.
Yeah, if not more.
Yeah. I found it so ridiculous that it's so difficult to find a place to live, you know, in a place that's filled with empty apartments, filled with empty apartments, but none of them are available now.
Yeah, we were actually so lucky to find something. Like,
Jeez.
Yeah, and Dima, you were also going to do something like with TROM-Jaro and recording a song or something, or
yeah,
some video
I
like
wanted
that.
To make a video about TROM-Jaro and also about open source recording software, because like recently I was featured in one video of one very popular YouTuber. It's a bit like dumbing down content there and clickbait. I was just involved there, and there in the video there was, while I was recording a song, there was seen that I'm using like Linux, and a lot of people actually noticed that. I'm like, oh, this pro guy using like Linux, and they asking me what kind of, you know, software you are using, and it's very unusual because most of the guys who record now, they use like Macs or programs for Windows, like recording programs, but mainly it's for Mac. And I think it's interesting to make such video and show, like the TROM chart, of course, and that, you can have like open source and free software for recording music, and me, like I am as a professional, can do this. So it's not like if it's free or something, it's bad. Like a lot of people still have this mentality when there's like price tag, that means that it's something good. When it's free, it means it's like
it's either it's not good enough or there's like a trick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not really free. It's not trade free.
Yeah, exactly. But that's how it is. Like if you try to, I don't know, I've noticed this with apps a lot. When you download some apps, like free apps, and they push you so much adverts, or they want to to sign you for this premium features for which you have to pay. So it's not like free. So you can notice there as well. Oh, and another thing I'm starting to do, it's like a video. It's like a small video company, not really company. It's just me alone. But I want to make videos for like some musicians who sings about some important social topics. I will film like videos for them for free. And second, like I plan to do it in two parts, like for music, because it's my passion, but I want to support those musicians who do some music raising important topics, so I can film music videos for them absolutely like for free. And second is, of course, like activism, like this movie which I told about, and interviewing some others activists and so on. So yeah, that's for the topic, do something. So I'm
And you're calling it trade-free productions, right?
Yeah, it's like trade-free production.
Trade-free productions.
Yeah, it's a really cool logo as well. Thanks for
it's actually Srini made it.
Or Shas, yeah.
Also cool. For free.
Trade-free. Bonus.
So it's pure free. Yeah. Okay, we can move. So Sasha, you can tell us.
So I mean, for one, I just wanted to also talk about just wanted to talk about that it feels good for one thing for people to do something, and I feel like a lot of times it's maybe hard for people to actually figure out what to do in this world, especially when they realize that all these problems are so huge, that the whole system is so fucked up, and they might feel a bit kind of lost and helpless. So for me, I went through times like this and I wasn't really sure what to do, and I just kind of went traveling and was like, fuck all this, I don't give a shit, I'll just travel. And then, after a while you kind of start to feel a bit like useless, because you want to do something with your life, and you kind of want to do something meaningful. And when you realize that, we live in such an unsustainable place, we have just a ridiculous amount of problems, you understand where these problems are coming from, then once you actually start doing even something small, you feel much better about your life in general. And I think doing something can really change your life a lot, even if you do something small. So now to think about what small things we can do. We made Tio made a page in TROM site, the ACT page. So if you want to get involved, there's a lot we can do in order to be involved. Aaron will talk about the translations. So now anybody can take a hold of, if they want to translate TROM site into their own language, they can do a lot. In general, I think if you want to start making some kind of change, the best thing you can do is learn about the problems in general. So we have a lot of material on TROM site. There's a lot of other tools as well that you can use. And I wanted to make an example of like something that I did in Siberia, which was fun and quite useful, I thought, which was once I found out about TROM, I decided to make an English club in Russia that was based on the TROM documentary. So once a week, I just got together a group of people, and I found random people because I didn't know anybody in that city where I was living in Siberia. So I just made an event on couchsurfing every week. It's couchsurfing.com. It's a platform that you can, or you can use like meetups or whatever. So random people can come to your event, and basically what we did, I just named it an English club because it's in Russia, and all we did was in English. So we watched one TROM video, and it doesn't have to be TROM. It can be whatever topic you think is so important. But for me, I thought TROM was perfect because the documentary outlined the problems quite well and broke apart different topics, and they were easy to talk about these specific topics. So I just sat with random people in a cafe. I showed them one part of the documentary, and then we all discussed this in English. And people were happy to come. A lot more people found out about TROM and the Venus Project, and in general started, the people that came to me started thinking a bit more global, I suppose. And since I had this event posted on Couchsurfing, I also had lots of travelers, so people that were traveling around the world. They also came to my meetups and joined and found out about the project, which I thought was great. And it's just fun, and it makes it makes you feel like maybe you're doing a little bit of something, even though maybe it doesn't make a huge difference, but it's something. And the other thing, all of you guys know, I have a blog. It's Big World Small Sasha. So basically, I explain how you can travel around the world with as little money as possible. But I also talk about global problems. I connect these problems to TROM and to TVP as well, and and basically write blogs. And I'm writing a book as well that also talks about traveling and living a different lifestyle, and also connects this to bigger ideas and bigger problems.
Oh yeah.
So awesome. I think for whoever wants to do something, just do it. Just start doing something. Start doing something small. You might not know what to do, but if you start doing something, you'll feel great.
But I think
it's an amazing idea. You had with this English club. It's like a trick market. They come for the English and they go all the time. But then I think it's like it's a bit tricky.
But I made it very clear, from the very beginning. I said I explained exactly who I am, exactly what I'm doing, and why I'm doing it. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to watch one part of the documentary every week, and we're going to discuss it. And if you want to join, you can join. If you don't, that's it. It's just a free English club, and that's it. And people loved it. Like, people showed up all the time. It became like, kind of a thing. Yeah. So
yeah, cool.
Yeah, it was great. And eventually, I also got a room where I could use a projector, and we watched the documentary on a big screen, and people were excited. I had people stay in Siberia just to come to my English club, longer than they were planning.
Damn.
But then the English club got banned eventually, right? In the end,
no, it wasn't banned. I left Siberia, and then I had no time to do it. But I left Irkutsk. But the police showed up one time.
What?
I mean, I'm not 100% sure that it was because of me, because in the end I was hosting it in this anarchist venue. So that was because somebody introduced me to this anarchist group, and they had heard about the Venus Project, and someone told them about me. Anyway, so I got to use their space for free, and the police showed up to one of my meetups, and they said that they got a complaint because some mother complained that her daughter was thinking differently and dressing differently and acting differently, and it was not 100% that it was because of me.
It was never confirmed.
But but it's not anything
Of course, I mean, you're just having some discussions with people. So what's the problem?
Imagine that the mother gets upset that her daughter, might be complaining, like might be worried about the world.
Thinking for yourself again.
That's
like
when you know you're doing something right, Sasha.
But yeah, I ended up stopping the club because I left this place. And we can try again, but I think in Leicester, it's too small of a town for.
But I mean, the idea is just great. That's what basically everybody can do. So
yeah. Just go meetups.com or couchsurfing.com and just make an event, and somebody will show up probably. And it's like you don't have to talk a lot either, because the videos talk for you. You just play the video, and then automatically after the video is done, people are going to be like, and it's been, especially if it's a non-English speaking country, they want to practice English, okay, but they walk away with much bigger ideas.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
And I named it Better Than Your Average Conversation in Irkutsk. Because it was. Yeah. And just one more thing. Also, I was also a point of contact for the Venus Project up until last month. And I recently wrote a pretty long blog about my entire experience with the Venus Project. So it was a long situation. But yeah, if anybody's interested in reading that, it's on my blog, Big World Small Sasha blog.
Yeah, I've read it. Actually, I've got the same story. I also been Venus.
Yeah.
Point of contact for Venus, and I quit a few months ago.
Yeah. So.
Both of you for.
You what?
Congrats, I said to both of you.
Congrats.
You did something.
Do something.
Yeah, I mean, the main the main thing that I got, the main point, kind of the main reason that I ended up quitting in the end is that I realized that there actually is no point of kind of. I still respect Jacques Fresco and his work, and I love everything that he was working on. He was a great man. He was very inspirational. The idea of a resource-based economy is very inspirational, but I think people take it too literally, thinking that okay, this has to be our future, and we need to figure out a way to get there. Rather than what we're trying to do now is, okay, no, let's figure out what we're working with. Let's look at the system, right? How does the system work? And what we're saying is, okay, the system is basically based on trades. You wake up in the morning to go to work, to trade your time and energy for money, trade your money for food, So let's take this trade as the problem and concentrate on that, rather than being like, okay, we have the solution. Let's go build a resource-based economy, And I really realized that this idea to try to create a resource-based economy is pretty useless, except for inspiration, and that's the one thing. Also, if we're talking about this do something, I feel like if you take this TVP approach of we want to build something, we want to build the first city, and then from this experimental city we want to build more cities and hope that these cities can influence the world. One problem with what we're talking about is people will tend to wait for TVP to do something. You have to wait for these bigger organizations to kind of take control and to build something, because you don't have millions of dollars to build anything with. Whereas you take this and say, okay, we have a problem here, trade is a problem. It's much easier to deal with. You talk about trade as the problem. You try to make something that's trade-free. Make a trade-free blog if you can. Make a trade-free book, a trade-free video, whatever. And yeah. Rather than waiting for somebody to go and build something.
Yeah, that's something similar I experienced with TVP, that even though you went through the education there, which was quite long, about 9 months, which was cool, and you're kind of inside the organization now, I faced the problem that you cannot do there anything. Like, you just, okay, follow, you can share the materials, you can translate maybe, and that's about it. Like there's nothing you can do, and we're just waiting. Everybody waits for something, and it's not clear for what. And yeah, so like for me, I think I would love to do something, but like I can't. And here again, yeah, when you take different story, like here in Trom, you realize, okay, we must do something with this trade, and what it gives to us, this acknowledgement that each one of us can do something small, can do something trade free, can avoid this trade, and there's so many possibilities. So you're not even in organization anymore, you on your own, and you just take this idea and just create.
Exactly.
It's like philosophy, you don't need to follow anyone, any philosopher, but you can use any of his ideas, and here's the same.
And you can do it in a way that you find enjoyable,
Yeah, of course.
Contrary to like an educational institution, for example, they tell you what to think about and how to do it and when to do things, and with the trade-free idea, you're empowered to just do what you feel like doing or doing it in your way.
Mm-hmm. So the more people will start do something, the more it will benefit to everyone. And everyone can do whatever they want. Just do it like in terms of trade free, and it's
completely
good to go.
And I also just recorded the audiobook Volunteering Around the World, and in there you can see how hundreds of millions of people already do something every day for free, kind of. All the Doctors Without Borders, all the Wikipedia people, citizen science and stuff like that. So it's not like we are the only ones, and I feel as well empowered by this idea of addressing the problem being the solution, because then you see all those people who are also volunteering at different organizations as your ally, and as directly fighting in a way the origin of most problems.
Yeah, it's very inclusive. It's like you're not looking at those people and saying they're not fighting correctly, You're looking at them and being like, oh, they're doing something.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. They might not exactly make problems, but certainly money in many regards, and some aspects of trade for sure.
Okay.
What about you,
What you are doing?
What's happening with you?
Maybe as you realized, I don't like to talk that much. I rather do something. That's just how I am, and that's why I also translated some books from English into German. I translated some videos. I translated some websites, like the trade-free website, the new one, tromjaro.com, and TROM-Site. That's the latest thing, what I translated with the use of TiddlyWiki. This is a super cool program. Makes it very simple, very easy to translate the entire TROM page, basically, and you have control. You can host it wherever you want. You can host it on your own server, or we also provide an explanation how you can host it in a decentralized way. So, and that's why I also made the last video about it. So it's basically me explaining how you can translate from set.com. So that's what I do these days. I'm producing more and more videos how to translate things. I actually just released kind of before the TROM-Cast a new video. And it's about how to translate a TROM ebook. So there I just explain how I translated most of the ebooks using different programs. You can use LibreOffice Draw or Master PDF Editor. So there are some tools which can help you. And with the new TiddlyWiki file, you can basically insert the link in that TiddlyWiki file, and you have control over your own translation, can host it anywhere where you want. So Theo made it in a way possible for people to do something we all can just do something how we want, and that was so empowering for me. because when I was traveling, I also have I had different or similar experiences like you, Sasha. I also felt like, okay, the world is fucked up, but what should I do? And I did some woofing things and so on. Maybe you know that. But when I heard of TROM, it was just like that was the project where I felt I want to help them or to support that project. And translation is basically not too difficult. I mean, if you know some English and of course your mother language, you can start to translate, and that's what I did. So yeah, I'm doing this for quite a while now, and yeah, let's see how it continues. I try to spread awareness, make people aware of TROM. I will keep doing these videos, and yeah, let's see how that will go on.
Yeah, it like surprised me how like few people actually know about TROM, because like I only found out about it like a couple of years ago. You know, if I knew before, I mean, I would have been doing more stuff, I guess, earlier. But I think, you know, another thing that if somebody wants to get involved, what they can do is just kind of spread some stuff around. You know, I don't know, pass it to, you know, other freaking followers of TBP or whoever else, and environmentalists.
Oh.
You know.
Yeah, it's so simple because with our ACT page, it's so simple. People can just see, okay, maybe I can contribute to here or to there. Maybe I can help in this way. So
for sure, and anyone can take our stuff and put it anywhere. So there's no copyright or any of that shit. You can just
trade free.
take it trade free. So in a way, it's like there's a burden off your, like, you know, before when I maybe did some shit, I was like, maybe I don't want people to take it and stuff like that. But now it's just like, whatever the fuck, you know, you put it out there and anyone can take it, use it, download it, and fork it and do however they want to do it. So that's also empowering to people because they're not now, afraid to take the materials or anything like that. You can also just save the entire TROM file and a website and everything and upload and make your own one. So it's very easy and open.
Practicing what it preaches.
Oh, we couldn't hear the last bit.
I just said it's easy for people to share and participate, all the stuff. Yeah.
And what is it that you guys? Yeah, you want to say something?
Oh, I was just gonna say that's what Cody as well does, I guess, as well, like decentralizing a lot of the materials and adding them to different places and shit like that.
That's my area, and then Alexia is actually firing up too, and he's getting the stuff out there. So it's everywhere. We're going to be federated soon. Would be cool. I've been talking to Tio about hosting basically a federated version of trade free. So basically, you could think we could have our own kind of version of YouTube, but we could choose to host trade free content, kind of thing. I don't know. That would just be there's stuff cooking, things like that. But yeah, having removing that bottleneck of, you know, not everything has to go through Tio. I mean, already like the fucking we can see the toll of just what he's doing by himself. Let alone, you know, now people want to help him and like, oh, we got to bug him with all these questions. Like, yeah, seeing the shortcomings of some other organizations or other structures like this, and just realizing it's like not only way more empowering, but just way more synergy can happen when you free up people to just do whatever. Like, you know, I can work on the stuff I'm good at, and Sasha can do what she's good at and what she enjoys, and all you guys as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, it makes it easy.
Yeah, and it's good for people to just kind of contribute with whatever they can do, kind of on their own without having to rely on Tio as well, because you know, I think it overwhelms him now that he made so much stuff, and then he's just being bombarded with so many things all over the place that he needs to manage. Where he really just wants to create more stuff. He wants to be a creator, not a manager. But because he's managed to create so much stuff, and now there's so many people coming and things to manage, it's
he
a
has
lot
to
more
let his
difficult.
baby go, and he can't do it.
Yeah, but that's why we can take a look at the act page. And so, do you want to bring it up, Cody?
Yeah. Can you? It's Trump site.
/act.
Oh, right. Got it.
It's my computer is really slow, so oh, here, okay. So yeah, so you can go through the page. I mean, if you want to join, if you want to do something, the first thing you can do, again, if you can translate or dub something. So that goes for almost for everything, for the memes, for Tramjaro, all the content. And yeah, like Aaron said, I think he made this great video about how to translate the content. So it's quite easy to do. You can proofread or review. You can write books for Trom. So you can learn to present a subject. You can, we'll help you with it. You can we'll review it and
anything, something,
something. Yeah. So if you want to write a book, you can write a book. Help with decentralizing, and of course you can participate here in these TROM-Casts. So. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Laid out all the stuff. Made it easy.
Yeah, and I love like Seb's poems, for example. He I don't think you actually went to anybody and said, "Hey, I have an idea, I want to do something," right? You just started making the poems, and then you're like, "Okay, this is."
Yeah.
And eventually you joined it with Trom, right?
Yeah, exactly. I started making them independently as well, because I also just wanted to do something, and I let my frustrations out somehow and my thoughts and stuff like that. So then I somehow got into contact with Theo, made some videos and shit like that, and started helping Theo with recording different types of things and helping him with videos, and also moving then the poems there and stuff like that, because he was the only one who made me feel like, oh shit, I'm actually participating here and I can get involved, and motivating me to do shit and stuff like that. So that was very cool.
Because you tried to do it for TVP first, right?
I tried to do it a bit there, but it was not that easy. Maybe I had to put my stuff out independently and all that. But it's only recently, after understanding that trade is the origin of most problems, really not really giving a fuck about people using my videos or me wanting anything in return. I see my work for Trom as just volunteering online, producing stuff, and not really expecting anything in return. And many people already do that physically and helping all kind of different projects in person, but like this you can do it online, and that's pretty cool.
Have you read your poems offline somewhere?
Oh no, never. Never. A couple of people asked me once or twice. I read them to myself usually, sometimes before after I finish writing them, but that's it.
You go to a poetry night.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
What's the poetry?
There are even poetry competitions.
Oh, poetry competitions. I don't know. It's like I don't even I don't know. I came up. I just said, okay, I'll call them poems, but you can call them whatever you want to call them. It doesn't have to be poetic, or that word doesn't have to be used. It's just writing down and rhyming some thoughts.
No, it's super cool. I really like it. It's just not popular these days. So.
No. Yeah, and I also tried to use more authentic footage actually, because I didn't like the other videos I use, because I use video blocks a lot.
Yeah.
And it kind of fucks it up, because it takes the realness away from what it is I'm actually trying to say. So the latest one I did, Where Are You From? I like that one much more because I used some prep. I have to first find all the footage, and I want to make it seem as real as possible. And the other ones are quicker to make if I use video blocks, but they are then a bit shittier quality, I find, and not as authentic. So I'm gonna try to make future poems when I make them into videos with more real footage. Yeah.
Hopefully we can get the trade
speaking
footage.
about yeah, that's also
go for it.
to speak about this. No,
well, I mean, I guess the idea is just that eventually we're gonna try to host kind of like things like Seb was saying, like little video clips and stuff that we take and just upload, and it's don't need a license, don't need anything, just go ahead and use that footage, whatever you want, and having a place.
Oh yeah, tradeFreeMedia.org. Yeah, exactly. That would be very cool. Yeah,
to actually accomplish. It'll be. I'm excited for that.
Yeah. In the long run, it will be really cool if we will manage to collect a lot of different footage. I actually start to film like specifically for this website a little bit.
Yeah.
Just some footage which we might use, just some people on the streets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nice.
You just have to be in good quality, and I think it's really cool to create something like this video blogs, but like trade free, and where people can contribute and upload their stuff.
Completely.
Yeah.
I think that could be really genius. And then you could also have categories, so you can also have images, videos, and even music that people can download for free and upload and stuff like that. And
ready.
Drone footage.
Yeah.
Yeah, drone footage like that.
Not at all.
Yeah, and even all sorts of icons, pictures, whatever. Yeah.
But I think it's
huge. Yeah, go on.
No, I was just. The idea sounds really great, but Tia was also saying that it's gonna be a motherfucker to be able to put it up somehow.
To infrastructure, because we have to serve all that basically somehow, and whether or not we're gonna have a decentralizing capability by then.
Yeah.
We want to do so much, but we have so little resources.
It's
so we have to earn some money. Let's speak about that.
Like every time there's a new project, someone's like, "That sounds like it would cost money."
Yeah, that's the funny thing about all of us, right? We're all pretty broke, and almost none of us have jobs. But all we want to do is do stuff for free, trade free.
Yeah, it's
the idea to make more trade free stuff.
Not allowed.
So far, we just managed to survive, but we want to have such huge projects, which really needs some kind of investment, unfortunately, to make it bigger. But everyone can do what they can do, and that's already is good.
Yeah, unfortunately, giving is not rewarded in this world.
Yeah, actually, that's the thought I realized some time ago. When you volunteer in this system, you actually hurt yourself because you just kind of waste your time because you're not earning money at that time. So it means you have to, dedicate different time for you just to earn money. And so doing something for free, it's actually hurting yourself because you're all dependent on money here.
Maybe we can also talk about reinforcement, like because we are now like a group and we support each other, or we know, okay, there are other people out there who do trade-free stuff. What do you think is a good thing, or what can help if you're in an environment which doesn't support you, or like nobody is volunteering around you, but you kind of like want to do it? Like, what are your thoughts about that?
You mean like what motivates you to do something?
Yeah, because imagine you like, okay, you want to volunteer, but all your environment has only business in mind. They only want you to make money. If you have some parents, they tell you to go to study or to do something, to make a job or something.
You just have to find your own way of doing it, or somehow balancing, or somehow to say fuck off to everyone who's telling you how to live and what should you do with your life.
It can be hard sometimes. It can be. I think all of us probably went through that at one point or another.
Exactly.
Where everyone around them is telling them to go get a job and to do something that you see absolutely no meaning with, and all you want to do is try to do actually something useful and meaningful and try to understand the world. And you have to fight. You have to fight against them. Just to do something good in this world and something meaningful. It's sad.
It's also a bit of isolating way of life. Like we're here, we're connected, but we're from different parts of the world. But I know a lot. Like I'm sure all of us feel lonely quite often. So that's why we want to live together and party together and.
No doubt. Hello, fellow newcomer.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, what's your name? Do you have a microphone?
I see, some volume up.
Okay. Anytime you want to say something, say something.
Let us know. All right.
Yeah.
Back.
Yeah.
So it's always like a fight inside yourself, not only inside yourself. It's about your environment, as you Aaron said. Yeah, if everyone around, just speaks about money, about selfish goals and how to make more.
Yeah.
You will struggle. You will struggle with your ideas, and that's something I experienced in Tunisia last week. I was there on a gigs, and I was playing in some very posh hotel. But then as soon as you go out of the hotel, there's extreme poverty. There's animal abuse, dirty, and stuff like that. But people, those people, rich people from European countries, they just ignore it. And I was trying to speak with them on this topic, how because I felt really bad. I feel sorry going on these streets because just I'm white, and those people know, okay, I've got a lot of money, which I don't have, but for them, compared to them, I'm super rich. And I feel bad just being myself there and uncomfortable. And I was trying to speak with the guys in the hotel, and they just didn't care. They didn't want to speak about that, and they said just the way it is their fault, and blah blah blah. So, and it's really hard in being in such environment. Well, you live in paradise, but there behind the fences, there's hell. And all those people who live in this prison of paradise, they live in their dreams. It's everything fine for them, and just ignore it. And the more time you spend, the more you become like them. It's just unavoidable, because it's if everyone like that, it's really hard to stay yourself. They will influence you. You can resist for some time, but it's just a question of time. If you're not going to change your environment or find some other person who share the same views as you, at least, so then you're not alone.
Yeah, there's a crazy paradox in this world. The inequality is so massive, and it's usually only the poor people or those that can relate to poverty, maybe, or have seen it, that dedicate their time in a trade-free way. But for anybody, it can be a very... fuck, I'm hearing my own voice.
Yeah, hang on.
That's
Raymond
annoying.
does. No, you got it. It's okay.
Yeah, it's good. But for anybody, it can be such a humbling experience to just give something without expecting anything in return, because that in a way is love, and connects you with other people, and makes you more humble in a way, and is actually can actually benefit you in many ways, because it's you do it because you're actually interested in helping out, rather than doing it in a manner of expecting something in return, or a return in your investment, or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Of the sorts most people with pure business mindsets go into things with.
Nope.
Yeah, and then when you look at those, rich people and businessmen, there are some noises coming from someone,
Vacuuming.
Yeah. when you look at those rich people, I don't know. I don't feel they're really happy with their life. I don't feel it like really at all.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
but how can you be happy if like your the point of your life is just to make more and more money and to buy stuff, you know? Which is what
true.
everybody tells you is your goal. You know, your goal is to get a job, become rich, and then have. You know, a fucking husband or wife and kids, and that's it. You know,
You made it.
there's no like, let's try to actually make the world a better place. You know, they're like, oh no, that's useless shit. And it's like, no, I think about money. Money is like the first thing, you know, and it never fucking makes you happy, you know.
Yeah, but that keeps your whole life in stress all the time. Because
Yeah,
if you have
yeah.
a lot of money, you think, oh, okay, I might lose this money, so I have to work
Yeah.
anyway more. And then
Yeah.
it's never
Yeah, I
ending
mean,
cycle.
yeah. I mean, I battled with this for a little while, like where my family was and whoever, everybody around me was telling me, you know, you have to get a job and live in one place and all this. And I was like, I just don't see the point. You know, I don't see the point. You know, if we don't live in a sustainable place, if I get a job, then I'm just contributing more and more to this unsustainable shit, and I'm not happy. You know, so why don't I just do something that makes me happy? You know, in the first place, and you know, what is the point? Like, what is the point of just getting a job and being miserable? You know, it's. So I had to battle with that for a long time, and it wasn't until after I like started my blog that most people started accepting me. Maybe because I explained it, or I don't know. Maybe because I had something to show, which was just some written text, or I don't know, or a bunch of
Your
photos.
efforts were futile.
Maybe just start reaching more people from all around the world, you know?
No, I mean like I was accepted like by my family, for example.
Ah, by your family, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were like, okay, fine, you can.
Fine, have it your way.
They lost hope for you.
Yeah, maybe because I turned 30 and they're like, it's all over.
Or maybe they're like, oh, maybe you should, you know, this website she can put on her CV for her job one.
Yeah. This is a
She's
simple
probably
one
making a
option.
lot of money on this website.
Even though it's trade free.
But that's interesting, Sasha. For me, it's as well. Like when I had like a lot of problems with my thinking with my parents. Like the way I'm living, I also like was moving all the time and living different. Had a proper job or so. Like not as you. I had like jobs, like part-time jobs, but never full-time or something. But then I turned like 30, and they like slowly they accept me. And it's like they just okay, no
They just
point.
give up.
Like, yeah, they just gave up.
Maybe it's that.
They've just been like believing that it was a phase all the way
Yeah.
up through your 20s. Like it's still just a phase. It's just it's not.
Yeah, but then there was one of the most weird things for me. I had really tense and complicated relationships with my father about my lifestyle and everything. And recently they visit me with my sister, and I was surprised by my father when he said he was teaching my small sister. My sister is younger, like on 8 years than me. And he was teaching her, oh, look, as Dmitry living, he's doing the right things, and I'm really proud of him. And I was like, what? I couldn't believe that, really.
Yeah, actually, my dad says no, that too. Yeah,
Nice.
he told me that I'm the only person that he knows that lives the right way.
Yeah. It's like,
so yeah, things change. You know.
But to get there, it was not very easy.
Yeah. But maybe it's also when they realize, like, okay, actually, you can be really happy, you know, and you can travel around the world, or you can do whatever you want, to make music, do whatever you're passionate about, and you don't need the money to do that, you know. And if you can manage to be, you know, enjoy your life and be passionate and do whatever you want to do, and do that without money or just not much money, then that's great. And then they end up accepting you, I suppose. But it's not until you actually make the money that you succeed, that you're seen as successful. Yeah. Yeah. But
so the new guys who joined, would you like to speak something?
Yeah. You guys can do something.
AR.
I know Raimondes is in here.
Yeah, there's Raimondes, and I didn't see the other guy's name. And someone
one's just
else.
A, and then one didn't rename.
A.
Yeah,
I was also just thinking of adding that I like on Tio's About page. I like that page where he writes that you should also try to get comfortable in this world, even though it might really be tricky to participate in it, and get comfortable because nothing is really going to change overnight, and things might take a long time. And at least now, in a way, he has kind of diagnosed the problem quite maybe at its core, being trade, but it's still important to get comfortable, I think, because in a way, yeah, who knows? I mean, things are going to stay the way they are for quite some time, and it's important to maybe as well, think a bit more long term in certain regards.
On this topic, I really like the lecture by Jaco Fresco. I think it was a lecture about depression. When he pointed out this topic, he said, like, the world is fine. It's like your expectation.
Yeah.
It's like the problem is in your head. Like when I first time heard that, it was really hard. Like, no, I put it back. He really said the world is fine. And then, like, after a while, I start to think about it and analyze, and like, yeah, it's just the way it is, Like, he's not mentioned that it's like everything perfect, but it's just the way it is, and you have to accept it. And what hurts you, it's your expectations. And as soon as you accept it, it's really easier to kind of fight and work towards, better future from this, start point, than when you think, okay, everything fucked. Like, I think everything fucked, like, completely. But it's just the way it is, and I'm not like.
But it's just the way it is.
But you accept that, like before I wasn't accepting that, like, no, you have to do with the world. Yeah, we have to do something, but like right now, it's the way it is, and that's really kind of, I don't know, it makes your life easier, just accepting that you don't worry, you don't stress about too much. You just do whatever you can do, and
But accept that is the way it is, but you don't have to accept that this has to be, that there's a big difference there. I think, it's like, this is the way it is now, but let's see what we can do about this, because society always changes, culture is always changing, always evolving, and it's always swinging one way or another. So if you realize that, then you can kind of take the problem and at least try to do what you can to swing it into a saner direction, and don't have like these expectations that you're going to change the world or that you'll do.
Yeah, exactly.
So try not to have any expectations.
Of Fresco lecture, it was like, you doesn't have to feel bad about it. I mean, that's the point, and don't expect, and you doesn't have to feel like bad about it. You have to work and improve something and do, but don't feel kind of bad, because it's like your mind, it's your thinking which hurts you, not the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He says it's your expectations of the world that hurt you, not the actual world. Yeah, I like that. So and then once you start doing something, yeah, go ahead.
Complete. And ironically enough, I would say for me, like distancing myself as well from the Venus Project and focusing on the problem has taken me away from dreaming about a future and like thinking, oh shit, we can actually achieve something like this and da. In the past 6 months, since getting a bit more into trade being the origin of most problems, I think that maybe I've become a bit more pessimistic, but also like I just accepted the way things are, and that's just how things are gonna be. And you kind of gotta get comfortable, and you gotta just do some shit. And if some shit happens, that's okay. If not, then whatever. It's just very interesting. Yeah, get some kids, a house,
and mortgage for 30 years.
Yeah, I also want to add that it's very tricky because if you do something for free, we all live in the trade game and we all have to survive somehow. So everybody needs to find a way of like, living somehow, make a living somehow. And I think having the balance of doing trade-free things, trade-free stuff, but also like finding a way to kind of live in this world is so tricky. I think, for all of us.
I don't know. I always thought it was easy. Like, depending on what passport you have, if you have a passport from any Western country, any rich country, I always found it to be really easy. Like, you just separate yourself from from having to from having to constantly make money. You make money in a short amount of time, and then you quit that, and you separate yourself from having to trade your time and your energy for money for most of the time. And I think if you can do that, just minimize your spendings, just buy what you really like, understand what you need to survive with, which isn't much, food, water, maybe some clothes, and maybe you need to pay for rent sometimes. But apart from that, you don't need that much. Maybe a computer once every fucking 10 years or however long it can last.
iPhone.
Yeah, you don't need the latest phone all the time. You just need one that works. I've never bought a phone in my life. I've had 3 that people have given me. One Cody gave me. Thank you, Cody. But even if I had bought it, it still wouldn't be that much, because you don't need the freaking latest one every time. So if you can just minimize your spendings, you can minimize your work hours, you can work only for a short amount of time, quit the job, and then go do whatever you want to do, and then you have so much more free time to make trade-free things, to volunteer for whatever you want to do, or whatever, pursue your passion, go play an instrument, go sing, go dance, whatever you like doing, learn about stuff. And but the thing is, because most people are just stuck in this. And I want to say it's kind of a mentality, because most people just get trapped in this situation where they feel like they need to have a job, because they've been raised this way, to believe that, okay, I need to, the most important thing in my life is to have a job, a decent job. And that's like their goal, and they most people don't even think about the fact that, okay, I only need this job for money, so let me just make some money and then quit and then just live without a job.
Yeah, it's tricky. I think when you see when the inequality is so high, and it's like George Carlin has this really great bit. He was like, the rich are super rich, and what was he saying? And then the middle, what the fuck? The poor people are just there to scare the shit out of the middle class, so they can keep showing up with them jobs or whatever.
Can you repeat
it? Yeah. The poor people are there just to scare the shit out of the middle class, so they keep showing up at all them jobs.
Okay.
Because the middle class does all the work, but gets none of the money, and the upper class does none of the work, but takes all the money. So that's why it's like the upper class, like all the way up, they don't really do too much work. Maybe they're just chilling and collecting in a way. And then the middle class is just like busting their balls, because they're so afraid that they might as well become homeless or end up in jail and shit like that, because the poor are there just to scare the shit out of the middle class.
That's perfectly said.
Yeah, sad.
Twisted routine.
Okay, anybody else want to say anything on the topic of do something?
Anybody else want to
do something?
Maybe our new friend?
Oh, yeah, sure. Let's see if our friend has something to say. No, maybe.
It's a very nice turquoise background.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Okay, well.
Okay, then I can say something.
Yes, you can.
I have been thinking about, because I haven't known or been a part of TROM for very long, so I haven't done that much stuff, and I've also not been kind of online with what I like kind of starting at zero in terms of like doing stuff and making accounts and all that. So I'm focusing a bit on myself right now, but then I also recently figured that maybe I should help out with the TROM Instagram. So maybe we will be doing some Instagram stories of what we're doing on a day-to-day basis and kind of keep people a little more up to date with what's happening and stuff like that. So the quotes from the books will still be there, but then there will just be some extra stuff, a little bit more like engaging activity, you know? So
I think, yeah, that's great. And I think also if you want to like take more control of the Instagram thing, I think it's because right now Tio makes all the posts through Hootsuite.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Because of that, all the posts are the same for Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Whereas to reach new people on Instagram, you need those hashtags. So I don't know if it's something you want to work on, but if you wanted to make those posts with the hashtags or something.
Yeah, well, generally, I think the whole idea also kind of sprung out of the fact that, you know, the Instagram like is kind of a little bit characterized by the fact that that no one really wants to deal with Instagram in a way.
Yeah.
So
it's such a toxic environment.
Buddy hates that
I don't know,
fucking platform, but it's the way to reach people.
Yeah, I don't know. So I was, you know, if I think it's fun, because I know it's very toxic for many people, but somehow I just find a way to kind of just have fun with it in a way. And so I was thinking no one else is probably going to do it, and I would think it was fun.
That'd be great.
Yeah, it might not be a bunch of activity, but just a bit like here and there, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, you just have to use the right keywords.
Yeah.
And the most popular is there's me and ad. One of them.
Exactly.
No, seriously.
Post some nudes and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll need you for that, Sasha.
For the Instagram thing?
Yeah, you need Instagram model. You have some dress.
Oh, Jesus.
I
don't wear dresses, guys.
Before you know it.
And actually, the pregnant celebrities work the best there. It's like the most popular thing on Instagram. It's like pregnant celebrities. So if we can get one celebrity and make it pregnant, we get a lot of attention.
I mean, if anybody knows anyone.
And how are you planning to get this celebrity and get them pregnant, Tima? What is the plan
here? We have to think now.
Is that another project that requires money?
I'm sure that's the kind of thing we mean by do something.
We need a trade-free pregnancy. Come on, guys.
Make a celebrity pregnant.
Yeah, there's somebody also that commented in the YouTube chat, hey guys, I've been looking for people. What can I be a part of this community? I'm a journalist and I'm against the system. Yes. So I sent the ACT page in the chat. But hey, if you're a journalist, I mean, you can also, you know, mention TROM wherever you can, or some books, or some videos, or whatever.
Yeah. What are these guys in their anarchist meetings up to? Yeah.
Like on CNN, just like
TROM. Breaking news.
Breaking
There's
news.
truth somewhere.
Shall we go through the what's it called, the stuff on curated news, or
I got the news all queued up and ready to go.
Or do we want to talk about some more shit?
The only thing I guess.
Wait.
What is the subject you're talking about?
Do something.
Do something.
Do something for what?
For humanity. Trom / this trade free. I guess.
Or whatever, like what do anything, to
Yeah.
do something to either that puts some, satisfaction in your life, or maybe makes the tries
world a
to
better
make the world
place.
a better place, maybe something like that. We
Yes, that is there.
we
I
all
wish.
kind of volunteer for Trom, and we kind of agree on this trade free idea. That's mostly what we're talking about. But what do you do? And what's your name?
Shiva, AF. You call me
Shiva.
AF.
AF.
Yeah,
If
nice to meet
Huh.
you. AF. Okay.
Actually, I want to change the world, but don't know how to change. It is a big process, and I'm thinking on it how it can be done, and I'm searching for the people who have the same intention like me, and what is their ideas and how they are thinking and what is their approach, and all these things I would like to know. That is why I joined the discussion now.
Great,
That's it.
welcome. Yeah, thanks for joining. And
Welcome.
you're the one that messaged me before, right?
Pardon?
You messaged me before, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah.
that is
And
true.
how did you hear? Like, do you know the Trom project, or did you just hear my blog somewhere, or?
No, no, no. I mean, unexpectedly, I met you actually.
Mhm.
I read the article about your anti-Venus project. There,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was little impressed because Venus project will not be succeeded because it is not the way to handle it. It is not the right way to solve the things as of I observed, because I have
Mhm.
seen I have observing Venus project for a very long time, but there is no such positive response from anybody in the world. Only people are volunteering for that, and they are getting money for what purpose we don't know, and how they are utilizing don't know. Everything is unproductive. Productivity is not there, and I didn't like the way it is done. And most of all, his name. What is his name? The founder.
Jock.
I forgot.
Jacques Fresco.
Jacques Fresco. He is
Jacques,
no
yeah.
more, and he's the only person I have hope on him a lot. Once he is died,
Mm,
I lost the hope, and
mm.
I don't believe in anybody in the Venus project except that guy. He's awesome, actually. I like him a lot. I wanted to meet, but I couldn't meet. The thing is, that is why I'm thinking, is there any other people who has more innovative ideas to reach the right people who are in a position to change the world, who are right now, who are in a position to change the policy and system, and who are in a position to, I mean, who are in politics, uh, but they have good ideas like us. We need to find those people who have those ideas we are looking for the better world. They will also have the same thought like us, but they have no support like us. They might be having no support like us. We need to find those people. We need to unite them. Those people should come under one umbrella. Then only it will be done, I think.
Yeah, so um that's what I love about, okay, for what we're talking about here in Trom is pinpointing trade as the problem. Have you thought about this idea before?
Yeah, trade is a big problem, I agree.
So so because, okay, the Venus project, for example, it talks about the entire system as the problem, right?
Yes,
Like the entire system is not sustainable,
yes.
and it has an idea to create a sustainable holistic system, right?
And they
But
want to build their own buildings again, their own city. They want to build a city, and keep on building new cities will not work a lot.
yeah,
We
yeah,
need
yeah.
to restore our nature first of all. we need to restore our old cities, which should be sustainable for the future generation. And this has to be done before building new cities. New cities is not important as far as I know. We need forest, green cover must be there, and trees must be covered with our. I mean, most of the planet should be covered with trees.
Yeah.
That is
And
very important now.
why do you think they're not? Why do you think they're being chopped down as opposed to grown?
Pardon?
Why do you think so many trees are being chopped down instead of planted?
Because of the trade, as you said rightly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I would say the way there's a great video on tradefree.org where we say that rightly so that today there's more than enough food for everybody, more than enough housing, goods, and electronics, and there's basically an abundance of stuff, goods and services
Yes,
for
that is
all humans on planet Earth. But the issue is that people don't have access to those things because there's a barrier of trade. You have to give something
yes.
You
for
have to give
millions of
something.
millions of empty apartments on this planet, and there are less homeless people than there are empty homes. So there's an
See,
issue there
what I
because those
say,
homeless people are not allowed to go into those apartments because there are other motives and there are barriers, and that barrier is kind of trade.
what I say actually, mm, oh, people has to be understand that we have enough resources, and people must get those resources in a right way, and everyone must be sufficiently. What do you say? They need to be satisfied. Every interest will be satisfied by everybody. Like if businessman is there, he his motive is to get money. For what purpose? To enjoy a better life. If we give the better life, they won't look for the profit. He will look for the better life, and what he has to be done, he will done for free. And in that way we will talk to we will approach the right person. Like if there is a politician, he want power, let him be in power, but we need to organize the state in a right way, and everybody has to be assigned a work which suits him and which he is passionate about. And in that way we have to work on, and we need to research on it, how we can be satisfying all these interests and all their passions, and we need to satisfy those things for changing the world. Changing the world is not a easy task. It is a, combination of billions of ideas and billions of interests, and we need to satisfy all those things. Mainly, corporate people has to be satisfied with our poor people ideas. I mean, poor people will think, they won't care because that is not their business. They want money, they want power, they want growth. These all things will be there in their mind. That things must be changed. That is possible when we offer them more better than that. If we offer them more beneficial, more attractive, then they get, that time they will listen to us and they will talk to us. They will listen to us. Once they will listen, we can have a conversation,
Mm.
and conversation will lead to a change.
I think most of us here and like the think that politics is kind of bullshit and it's not going to change much because it's just an outgrowth of trade, and we need to organize in a more decentralized way and just create trade-free goods and services in a way. Of course, if politicians understand the idea that trade is a source of problems, governments, like for example trade-free healthcare that they have in Spain. For example, like if everyone has access to free healthcare in a nation, that's much better than if it's privately organized, because that means that it's more trade-free in that sense, or there's free transportation and stuff like that. So those types of ideas are the ideas we're trying to bring across. Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
I think you're right. Yeah, if people find out about this in the political level, maybe they might be able to implement such things.
We people don't talk about politics because they are, we think they are our souls or something. But the thing is, without taking the help from politicians, you can't do anything. Without involving with politicians and convince them, we can't do anything.
That might not be
Individually, we are
true.
nothing. But with the help of politicians only, it is possible. So we have to convince the politicians first. How we can have to convince them is the main business to our object. Like changing the world is possible with politicians and corporate. We have to understand this. Without, if we go against them, they won't do anything. They won't do any. They won't allow us to do anything. That is the problem, actually.
The
Individually,
only way to influence
to do any
politicians
revolution.
is to give them a lot of money, or make something which will be profitable for them. That's how all politics works. And like, you cannot fight for the peace, and you cannot go with a gun and fight for peace. So in the same way, you cannot invest money in the fight against the money. So what we are doing all here is we came up with different solution, with different ideas. It's not solution, it's ideas of decentralizing activities where each one of us, you included, everyone in the world, can do something, some smaller things. And by that, in decentralized ways, we propose alternative to something. We don't force people to go and use like our software or our websites or whatever. What we're gonna do? We just give an alternative. In this way, the more people are encouraged not only to take a part or use our services, but also do something on their own. And it's clearly visible on the open source community, which is very successful. And we want to try apply the same kind of idea into the whole world and in all possible fields, with all politics and money and guns and everything.
What is decentralization?
It's mean that there's no like government or one guy who decides something. Decentralized is mean that people works on some projects together. Everyone do their own part. Everyone can do whatever. It's like the structure, the way of structure is not structured as vertical when there's one guy on top and he like commands, and the lower you are sitting, the less power you have. It's more like a horizontal. Well, everyone is equal, everyone can do something and can bring something useful to everyone.
But who will allow us? Nobody will allow us to
For
do
example,
something.
we already have such things like Linux,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And we have a system, or Tio created an operating system with some other Trom volunteers called TROM-Jaro, which is a fork of Linux, of Manjaro and then of Linux. And that is an operating system you can download on any computer, more or less, and that is trade-free, so you don't have to give anything in order to get it, and there will be no ads that will be shown there, and everything on that operating system is kind of free. So that's the whole idea, to create such kind of people can access without having to give anything or trade anything to get them.
And that completely. Go ahead, Sophie.
And generally, if you're curious about what we do and what Tom generally is doing, you should definitely read The Origin of Most Problems book, because that goes in depth with why trade is the problem and why we can't just be like, this is how we do it and this is the solution, because you have to start with the problem. So definitely go ahead and have a look at that if you're curious.
I can send you a link.
And then with decentralizing and just being able to produce something trade free, we've completely, like, no politician did we ever have to, we completely bypassed anything having to do with that, even if they disagree with the materials or whatever it is. It's kind of the way it's emergent. Yes.
Yeah, it would be actually, I mean, I suppose some governments could stop some people from giving away stuff for free. I can see that happening, but it would be really
then you got a situation on your hands.
Yeah, but I think for now,
we're bypassing the politicians.
I think you can, give away stuff, make trade-free things, and I don't think you will have too many political problems.
Might be though, like you're saying. Some places it's also against the law to give food or money to homeless people.
Yeah.
So
that's ridiculous.
But I think then eventually that we start, that makes these kind of silly laws and contradictions kind of very obvious for maybe even the general public to then see. It's like, what, you can't give food to homeless people? Like that old 70, 80-year-old pastor like got arrested and stuff. It's like people reacted to that. People were like, well, that doesn't seem right now, does it? So it's like you can even have that effect. It's when we start disrupting things that already exist, and then there's like a trade-free version of something. That's that I could see is when politicians, when you start encroaching on somebody else's bottom line, that the politicians are going to get involved.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Not yet.
So yeah, I would add that our primary focus is education. So we want to educate people about trade as the origin of most problems. And the second part, or the other thing, what we do is we create trade-free goods and services. And then, as Sophie said, we have two big books about that, The Money Game and Beyond, and The Origin of Most Problems. And there we explain in detail what we're doing, what the problem is, and yeah.
Yeah.
I guess now we can also just throw in the idea that we're gonna have like a yearly trade-free, I don't know, festival or gathering event would work. But the idea being that the whatever we end up doing there, I think Dima, you said like maybe like a little show or something, or some rift, or we can bring out the telescope and do stuff like that. Potentially free food. We're gonna go around and see if anybody would be willing to donate or make stuff or whatever. But the idea being that anybody could show up to this event and that everything that you can do there is trade free. And kind of like
that's just to spread the message kind of thing.
Yeah. But I mean, that's doing something for sure. And then it's like you went there and you did not need to bring your wallet at all, and you hopefully have a blast. But yeah, I don't know.
You were gonna say something else, AF?
Like, do you have any more questions or comments or something like that?
All right. Shall we move to the curated news?
The curated news. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Who read the news?
You guys think?
I did read the news. Who else read the news? One.
Partially.
Okay. This will be awesome. The next great platform shift is underway, and that could be really bad for privacy. This was the article discussing the smart speakers like Alexa.
Yeah.
Oh.
Something about always listening and privacy concerns. Something.
Yeah, it would be difficult for users to make sure that their data is being properly handled, and most likely it will be used for commercial purposes and like today, but just maybe more extensively because more data will be collected because you can speak into it, and thus maybe better advertisements will be sent to you, and maybe that's more convenient because then you can get what you desire, I guess. Yeah.
Or what they make you desire.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, or are you desiring what they want you to get?
The new sex doll or something I have, maybe.
I really needed that.
Do you feel lonely, depressed, maybe just a little bit frustrated?
Our analytics show that you would really benefit.
Well,
But yeah, bad things, and just I guess the big concern is that that's just like this whole always listening, because it's like if you go over to your friend's house and they got Alexa, or I mean you have it installed like it's just that always on, and even just recently they just recently had to stop the human listeners listening into your queries. Yeah, because there was a lot of things that were being picked up that had nothing to do with Amazon purchases and whatnot, and people are like, "Oh wow!" It was like the NSA when they're harvesting all the pictures from the internet, and they're like, "There's a lot of naked people. Like, what is happening here? We're looking for terrorists."
Yeah.
The vegetarian diet linked to lower risk of heart disease, but a higher risk of stroke. Right on.
I mean, do you think? I mean, do you talk about pollution, global warming, climate change?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, of
Oh
course.
yeah, those are absolutely
Yeah.
driving things that absolutely need to be addressed, and the way we saw forward was like you how can you address this? Okay, renewables is a thing, but it's like you also like renewables has been more profitable than coal and oil for a long time, but the problem is that governments are
That
subsidizing
is true.
those kind of companies,
Yes.
so it offsets it still. And so
Yes.
the idea is that we're going at this trade-free angle to eliminate basically all the potential for a corruption as much as we can, and try to address like things like climate change, obviously, pollution.
Yeah,
Companies
Do
companies
I
don't
mean, do
care
you
about
believe in
climate change and
climate
shit like
change?
that unless it's profitable.
Say that again,
Yeah.
AF?
so
We actually
Do you believe
today
in
about
climate change?
how crazy shit is getting already with
yeah,
climate
of
change
course,
and all of
climate
that.
change is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, man, my
Yeah.
connection is a bit shitty.
You don't have to believe it. It's like
Not
seen
anymore.
all over the
It's
world.
it's basically proven. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not really a question anymore.
It's how bad it's going to be.
I think, yeah. I'm actually writing about this in my book as well. So I'm writing a book now. It's just my life story basically about traveling and stuff like this, but connecting with TROM and these bigger ideas and global problems, and I'm talking about climate change because that was one of the things that really struck me as we can't solve we can solve this problem of climate change with the current technology that we have, but we can't do it if we live in these tribes that we live in now and we compete with each other for making profit. So we won't be able to solve it in the current system. We need an actual global society that's not based on trade in order to solve a global problem like climate change. So
How
I'll
it can
address
be
that and
done?
I'll write a blog about it when I have time.
Yes, how it can be done?
Start providing those trade-free goods and services, my friend.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe can't.
if
Mm.
yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll
Who
most
knows?
likely we'll kill ourselves and everything else, at
Most
least right
likely
now.
screw 'em out.
I mean, watching this documentary, it was pretty clear that, like if you compare to like, all right, if we don't do something, it will look like this, and then what we're currently doing,
Yeah.
oof,
Yeah, but you have to understand. I mean,
I don't
yeah, I mean the incentive for pollution, and it comes from this need to trade. So the less of the need to trade we have, the less incentive there will be to freaking destroy
Poison
our
ourselves.
environment. Yeah.
Mm.
So that's kind of I mean, that was one of the major things that brought me to the Venus Project in the first place, because it was like, oh, this is the only holistic global like solution that I see. But now I've kind of, because of trauma, I've evolved kind of my thoughts further than that into this trade idea. So I'll send you the book. I think you like it.
Yeah, it's a very good read. So the vegetarian diet linked to lower risk of heart disease, higher risk of stroke, not by much, but
Oh no, Aaron.
They definitely, yeah. It's seemingly a better diet to have than one involving.
I want to know about your countries. Where are you from, basically?
From all over the places.
Oh yeah.
You?
So Cody's from Canada.
I'm Canada.
Who?
I'm from
Okay.
Canada.
From
That's
Canada?
good.
I'm the Canadian guy.
Oh, okay. It's a great country.
We got our problems.
Aaron
And
is a
you?
German living in Spain.
Spain. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm from India.
Oh, nice.
There's a guy named Srinivas that usually joins us. He's
Yeah.
from India too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
And,
I was born in Russia. I went to high school in the States. I studied in Australia, and I just travel. Kind of right now, I'm in the UK, but I'll be.
you traveled a lot. You traveled a lot, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. I traveled like my whole adult life, basically, most of the time. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And she's Danish, and I'm also a bit of a mixed culture guy. That's it.
Spain, no? You are from Spain, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
No, we live in Spain right now, but yeah. Anyway. Yeah. I'm originally from Denmark, yeah.
Denmark.
Yep.
I love Denmark.
It's the happiest country in the world. Who
A
wouldn't
lot
love
of
it?
people love it. A lot of people love it. Even Trump loves it. Actually.
Yeah.
He's like mentioning it as the perfect society and like we need to go that way.
It's a great country. You both are from Denmark, right?
Sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seb was like
disagree.
raised all over the place. Like in Africa and stuff, right? In the Middle East.
I got a Danish passport, so I consider myself a proud Danish citizen.
African face a lot of problems.
Yeah, it does.
Africans have a lot of problems?
Yes.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know what people in Denmark say?
Exploitation. In Africa, there is so much exploitation. Human
You're
rights
very
violations.
right.
Yeah, you know why?
Indians are a part of that, by the way.
Yeah.
In South Africa and shit like that. You basically run the place there.
Yes.
So.
And Dima is Russian Latvian, living in Germany.
In Germany.
All of us are like born
here.
we live there.
In the end, it doesn't matter.
We're all looking for perfect environment.
Yeah.
Let's just say we're all like global citizens of the earth.
Yeah.
So we must fight global problems, global climate change.
Maybe you can somehow like fuck your papers up or do something in the right order, so you end up being like expelled from one place, and then you end up with like world citizen thing, so you don't have a passport of any like specific. I don't know.
I think sadly you'd be stuck in some airport then.
Yeah. No, you might lead you to more problems. I mean.
No. I never traveled to any other country.
Oh.
I don't have passport even.
Oh, okay.
Rough.
That's why you're stuck in India.
Yeah.
One day maybe.
But you have the internet.
You do have the internet, yeah. You can traverse.
You can travel mentally.
But I love to come Europe one time. Denmark, Norway, and Sweden.
The beach is the most expensive countries.
You can afford one cup of coffee and then you go
one
back.
cup of coffee.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. Actually, in Latvia, they've got this weird thing of like you've got passport as non-resident of the country. So you know people are born here in Latvia, and if they don't speak Latvian, they just give them passport. You're not citizen of Latvia. That's like exactly what it said, and it's very limited. There's just only a few countries who accept that. Like Russia, they can go to Russia without visas, and maybe Belarus and a few other countries. It's really hard with this passport. It's like not accepted by almost anyone.
But they won't give you a real passport?
No, it's real passport. You're not citizen of this country.
That is his real passport.
Like, fuck you. Here's a piece of paper. You're a non-citizen. That's so fucked up. But then what do you do then?
Huh? No,
what can you do?
You need to pass some exams to sing like Latvian anthem and speak Latvian and do some bullshit like that, and they can give you, if you pass the exam, they can give you like normal passport.
Wow.
But like kind of you have to learn the language. Sorry?
What is the country? What is your country?
Latvia.
Where is it?
It's in Northern Europe. It's not far from Sweden and Finland. Yeah, it's in North Europe. It's a very small country. We have only less than 2 million of people in the whole country. It's very small. Yeah, so you might be like official non-citizen of the country. And it's like...
Sophie's the boss now.
Yeah, I know. The chair is like...
So we gets to sit on this.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, yeah, nice.
Should we continue?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to go soon, by the way.
Yeah, we're almost done the news, but I don't know. We're doing the multicultural.
Who cares about the
news? We're doing the chit chat section. Google got fined $170 million for violating kids' privacy.
Google? Okay.
Yeah.
Who's gonna receive this money? Kids?
Yeah, nope.
And
New York, and yep, 0 kids.
Some other charlatans will receive that money.
Yeah.
So what did they do?
So basically what happened is YouTube's not allowed, or there's an act that basically doesn't allow YouTube to collect data for users under the age of 13 unless they have consent from their parents. Your parents in the right mind. But they were doing it anyways, and then using that information to target ads to the kids and stuff, and that's like it's a huge like no. So basically they cleaned house advertising to these guys, and then they got a slap on the wrist for $170 million. And we'll never do it again.
Yeah, but that's nothing for good.
It's so sad, or is it not of what they take in? I mean,
yeah, exactly. It's a cost versus like a Fight Club. Exactly. They had a good example of like insurance people, and it's like these airbags are gonna kill so many people, but our lawsuit will probably be for this. It's better to have the people just get killed by.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's why you need to address trade as the root cause of most problems. Maybe get human life on there somewhere as important.
But it's so fucked up that they prepare people so young to be consumers. You have to start them as young as possible and target them with specific ads.
And the content,
so that they
the content being pushed to the kids with information. It's this loop. Go spend 5 minutes. Just try to watch any of it, and it is like the most mind-numbing. Like, and some of it is not appropriate for kids. It'll blow your mind, like what your children are actually watching in time, and just like the disconnect. It is a different YouTube, but the views you get on those children videos, there's incentives because they get 30, 50, 100 million. Like they're very easy to get those kind of numbers.
Yeah, and think about it. That's our future. Those are the people of our future.
Don't think about it.
Don't you just want kids?
Kids,
So you can shove them in the corner,
kids,
not
kids
talk to
topic.
them, and they're gonna be like.
Kids. I think there'd be a short segment for this.
Next time, let's speak about kids.
Yeah. That could be funny.
Yeah.
It was funny because I was actually that's when sorry, did I completely
we lost
pause
you there,
there?
so you got to start from the top.
You're cutting out.
Oh, okay. I was still going to business school when I got to know about TROM. So I was reading TROM stuff on my laptop, and then like in class up on the marketing guy, he was talking about umbrella brands, which means that a company that has different channels is basically just like pumping these like channels that they like brand familiarity or whatever to the kids, to the parents, like trying to take the whole family in, you know.
Yeah,
it was just a funny contrast.
This is a Disney family.
Yeah, it's so fucked up.
Yeah, exactly.
But now even in some kids books for very young kids, like up to 5 years or so, you know, they've got this kind of books where you have to do some kind of exercise, like guess how many, you know, trees there, what the name of the bird, and so on. But now instead of this, like before, it was, let's say, I don't know, 10 birds or animals, and you have to, you know, give a name to this animal for the kids. But today it's like 10 brands, like BMW, Coca-Cola, and you have to recognize what kind of brand it is.
Jesus.
You have to like read out what does
Disney
the bird say? Tweet, tweet.
Yeah.
Actually, what is TROM? TROM?
What does it stand for?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is, who started it?
So Tio started it. He's not here. He's usually here, but he's sick. He's a bit sick right now. So if you watch any of the other TROM-Casts, you'll see him. Or I can send you his website as well. But he started the project. He first made a documentary that was called The Reality of Me. So and that's why it's TROM, TROM. And then he wrote a ton of books, made a lot of different material. And then we kind of ended up just joining and helping out whichever way we can. And now Dima made some books, and some other people. Jennifer also made a book, and Seb is making. Oh, yeah, everyone's making stuff.
Stuff we're doing.
To contribute, yeah. So, but yeah, Tio is he's from Romania originally, but also in Spain.
All right.
Next.
So should we
More
finish?
You want to end it, or I still got 4 news?
Stop with your news, Scotty.
Like, could a toilet seat help?
You like this noise advert. Okay, let's time for the news.
Come on, guys. Take me. Could the toilet seat help prevent hospital readmission? Basically, they put a bunch of sensors in a toilet seat because people they don't do things consistently enough to monitor their heart health. Well, they should be. So they figure what's something that everybody does. Put the sensors in the toilet seat. We're good to go here.
Smart.
I just remembered today I watched like a small documentary. The guy went to China to kind of research all this, you know, social credits and their surveillance. And they've got one city, I don't remember the name, it's on Chinese, it's like super surveilled, it's like cameras everywhere. And he said when you go to public toilet, and you know, you can do your things, you can shit there, but if you want to have paper, you have to put your face and they scan your face. And after that, they give you a piece of paper. Seriously.
I mean, such an absurd world. What the hell?
Just imagine that.
A face scan.
Yeah.
That is.
Well, it's like everywhere that you have to scan your fingers or your face, but yeah. So it's like paper. I don't know if you have to pay for that he didn't tell, but if you want to get some paper.
Wow.
That is, yeah, I'm horrified. Wow.
I guess if you have bad social credits, you're not getting the toilet.
You do not meet the requirements.
But you still have to show your face to open the door.
We're like, fuck that guy. We're not gonna give him toilet paper.
And then you get publicly shamed on the monitors.
Live stream, like
yeah. This guy he didn't have enough social credit for toilet paper. Shame. 5 charts show how your household drives up greenhouse gas emissions. Basically, they're basically doing like a true cost analysis. Actually, like, you know, if your car's manufactured overseas, the emissions aren't happening in the U.S., but happening over in China. Yeah, basically that, you know, whole Earth is, you know, if China's polluting if we ship everything to China and it just becomes the main polluter, believe it or not, we still suffer
it's not our fault then. It's not our fault. So, you know.
China.
It's China's atmosphere. It's all the smog. Forget about wind. The atmosphere.
Wind.
The earth.
Ocean. What are those?
It's another country, right?
Yeah, it's another country. Basically another planet. That absurd. Two widely used ad blocker extensions that were for Chrome were caught in an ad fraud scheme. So basically what they were doing was blocking ads and then surreptitiously creating a profile for you with advertisers and dropping in their own tracking cookies and stuff.
So what did they sell? I didn't get.
So it's like it's an actual ad blocker. These two companies, they were actually ad blockers, but what they were doing is called cookie dropping. Basically, they would block the ads, but then they were basically self-injecting their own hidden tracking scripts and stuff to private advertisers, and they'd benefit from that.
Okay.
So yeah, it was just like they were standing as another company. So like uBlock is kind of the most known reputable ad blocker. It was kind of like it would show up with those results as like top results in downloads. And then basically what happens is like these extensions get a lot of people and then they'll like turn on the malicious part of it. But just how absurd the ad blocking was. Tracking ads, and you can do all kinds of other things and just about extensions and trust, and don't do it.
So they were actually a part of a process that they were promising to protect you from.
You got it, Sophie. Nice. The trade game corrupted their very moral values. Again. Yeah.
Once again.
Yeah, once again.
Yeah, and AF, by the way, we're getting these news. These are just some news from, we have like a curated news section on TROM. So basically sources that are less likely to be clickbaity and more likely to
more
be
based in
reputable.
reality and real time.
So, and that's on TROMsite.com. If you go to TROMsite.com, you can go to tools, and then there's curated news, curated videos, all sorts of interesting stuff that you can use. So,
yeah.
Yep. And this last news story is actually kind of important. I guess this is happening. This is calling it the Great Open Source Divide. They're talking about ICE, which is basically what deals with immigration. USA, which is right now. Hippocratic license and controversy. So I guess what they're trying to do here is MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technologies. They have a license that's basically open source, and you can anything that's under their license, anybody can basically not trade. Pretty close. So they have this license, but then it was found out basically that for products that they're using, ICE is also basically, they're like, oh, this software is useful to us. What's happening now with the whole social justice warrior scene and kind of everybody kind of like standing up. Virtual basically, they want the ability that ICE cannot not use that software, but the software itself, because it's under this open source license, anybody by a license definition can use it. What they're trying to do is basically make this pseudo license that basically has a restriction that is like, okay, you can use this for anything unless you are doing something that is like knowingly doing harm. So they're calling it like kind of similar to the Hippocratic oath that doctors might take, and that's, you know, do no harm. They're trying to apply that same thing to an open source license, but then inherently, by it being an open source license, you can't also have restrictions with it. Like everybody and anybody can use this, but not you. You can't do that kind of thing is what they're trying to deal with here. But anyways, yeah, they don't like what ICE is doing, but then it comes into, okay, you don't like people doing bad things, but then what is evil to you and to somebody else? And then
would you then end up with something like laws, like regulation laws type thing? Because I mean, this is the same argument or the same structure people have with like laws and courts and stuff. Like laws don't work, and that's why, because it's good and bad.
Right.
That's like, what does that mean?
Right. Exactly.
So that depends on how good of a lawyer you have.
Exactly.
Because
this
that's what a
language
court
can be
is
twisted.
for.
So it's like,
yeah.
It's like, yeah, they were bringing up Antifa being like, you know, the radical left kind of thing. So even though it's like this hypercompensation, it's still bad. But yeah, the trying to create this license, which is, they're calling it the hypocrite oath, because it's like it can't make sense. But we're trying to play these like mind games in our mind that somehow, you know, but then it even requires that the party using software is, you know, agreeing to that, or that you have to have a license in plate that basically allows you to then take legal action. But whereas open source,
there's no point anyway.
Source, and yeah, it's hurting itself. But it's like these are symptoms of the trade system, and like,
yeah, but it's like total bullshit. But ISIS also use guns. Let's put on each gun, you know, do not harm.
Yeah.
You got the good guys with guns, right?
Or they use mobile phones, you know. Let's just ban all of them. It's like total bullshit.
Absurdity. But it's like, and these are happening in like MIT and like your top intellectual institutions and stuff. So it's not the place it seems like where problems are going to get solved. Or pressing. I don't know.
Okay.
That's it.
All
That's
right,
it for the
guys.
news. We made it through the news. Made it through the cast. Tier-less cast.
Tier-less cast.
I maybe had one more point, because I know that last week or 2 weeks ago or so there was a big climate strike. Like I think a few million people went on the street to demonstrate all around the world.
I think 40 million around the world.
Was it 40?
Yeah, 40 million.
Wow.
So, and these people are like, okay, yeah, let's do something.
4 million. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, 4 million.
I remember 4 million.
So these people are going to the street and say, hey, politicians, do something. Please take care of the Paris climate
agreement
contract or something. So, and maybe before doing that, maybe think about, okay, what's really the problem, and then do something in maybe another direction. Or you can
why these agreements are useless.
Yeah, exactly. And you can maybe go on the street and say to the politicians, okay, we want trade-free transportation, for example, or trade-free healthcare, or things like that. Maybe that's better than just like demonstrating and saying what they do now. Imagine these 4 people doing trade-free shit. Like, wow, they could do a lot.
Yeah, they probably, you know, it's probably hard for them to connect that to climate change, I would say.
Yeah.
So I would say in terms of this, they need to understand why, you know, these agreements aren't working.
Mm-hmm.
why this is a problem, why we have the technology but we can't solve these problems. I think most people don't think globally, and because they're not taught to. So I think that's the issue. So I really have to go though, because
get out of here,
to
Sasha.
leave at this time. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks, Aya, for joining. Hopefully see you again.
Bye, Sasha.
Bye. Bye.